I see it now. Yep. I see- Yes, which reminds me, I should mute this video. Because now then I started to hear myself like 20 seconds later. Okay. All right. So this is live. It is unlisted. Two watching now. I'm assuming that the two are you and me. Okay. So I will just pin that close.
Oh, and I just fixed people on YouTube were not able to hear me, but it's fixed now.
Okay, great. This is the one with the call. I'm just trying to navigate all the tabs that I have open here.
Yeah, it's a it's a bit of a mess on my
So,
end too. There is too many videos. I see the
and
same
there's not
thing like on the left, on the right, on the center.
even, yes. And there's not even anybody in the call with us.
Yeah.
So, uh, that's fine.
Oh, but I guess we still did not start the event, so
Correct.
ity
Yes,
that's
we have
why.
not yet started the event, so we can do this.
Yeah, I guess maybe
Um,
a few people
yeah,
were subscribed
start
to it.
event. Let's do that. And start event. Okay, which means our subject should be updated in the chat. Okay, checking to make sure. Yes, Ruben is telling me there's one listening, and I'm pretty sure it's me, but that's fine. Okay, then think I think we are probably good to go.
I guess so.
Um, yeah. All right. We'll just go and we'll see who ends up joining us, like we
Yeah,
do every week. It's earlier for me in a different time zone,
yeah.
so but I don't know what everyone else's excuse is. Everybody knows when talking and docking starts.
Yeah.
Okay. First thing I'm gonna do, since I was traveling yesterday, I have not seen the minor docs PR, but it's time to release. Oh, which means we should let the framework team know that they can start the actual release. So let me do that in another tab. I'm gonna go and let the framework team know that they can release 5.9. Where's that thread? Here we go. All right, so I pinged them, but I have not been in this PR in a couple days, so I think I got some notifications. I saw that JS Park had left us some comments. Um, oh, looks like maybe
Oh, Jan did
looks like
too.
Jan went through them. A lot happened while I was gone. Okay, so let's take a quick peek, just to see. Okay, I'm just gonna go through the resolved here. Oh, yeah, okay. So some links got copied from within the PR review, but okay, that makes sense. And code block spacing, why am I not surprised? What changed here?
And there's a new line, I guess, maybe?
Oh, but aren't we supposed to have a new line? Like this is our format, otherwise it doesn't display properly.
Really?
We need our we need Armand here because yeah, I'm gonna go to our contributor guides because we have this written down for docs syntax API reference. It does require this space here. And I can't remember why. So yes, check. There is a wrapping P that includes an initial blank line, then the type default. This is something when we standardized all these references and Armand went through and did it. Um, it requires this. I can't remember why. This is one of those things,
Yeah.
but it's not like an old thing from like 2 years ago. We've just carried on. This was done rather recently, so I think these all need to be updated. If the spacing was removed, we're gonna have to put them back in.
I cannot see the pull request right now, but I think it was added in the change, right? Yeah, it was added.
Oh, it was added.
Yes,
Okay,
so I
well that
guess we're
makes sense
fine.
then.
I guess we're fine.
Oh, okay. I thought it was removed. Okay. Oh no, good, good. Okay.
Let me.
I should have known better than today.
Yeah, an extra until
Okay,
line.
removing a blank line, spacing. Okay, let's see what we got.
Yeah,
What? Oh, this
just
is just
spacing.
indentation.
Yeah, indentation.
See, this is really annoying. Is why is this highlighted here if that's not the change?
Yeah, it's
I
trying
don't know why
to
they're yeah,
because they see an HTML tag open and not one closed. I guess just GitHub being GitHub. I guess.
yeah. It's not always the easiest place to determine the changes. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna assume more time here. Doo, doo, doo. See, that's so pretty. Oh, oops.
Yeah, indentation again.
Okay, more indentation. More indentation. Great. Excellent. All right. And then Jan took care of all that. So this PR should be up to date then. Perfect. Okay, and it includes three new things being released today. Experimental CSP and the some docs added for render markdown, and then Jan's feature for the adapter API. So I just want to check because I don't want to merge these until I have confirmation from the feedback team that they are good to merge. Um, and I have not seen that yet. Armand, we were just talking about you. Welcome. Yes, because we're going through the 5.9 minor, and Samsung had come in and made a lot of fixes, and one of them was to add the required space that we need here in front of the API reference. I saw it wrong at the first place, and I was like, no, no, we need a space. Why would you take it out? But then Adio reminded me, no, no, it's the opposite. And I should trust you all because you know what you're doing. So we did hop to Astro Docs with our API references to show that, yep, we need a space there. And I still don't remember why, but I know that that is the case. And I was like, if Armand were here, he would probably know why. He'd be able to tell me.
Yeah, we'll get some markdown parsing oddities. No, MDX in this case, but
Okay, I have not seen the framework team. So normally what we would do on a merge day, on a release day, so yesterday on a Wednesday, the framework team merges all the code to a branch to get ready to a release branch. And then on Thursdays, since Docs doesn't have any, special funky versioning or anything like that, We just jump in on the Thursdays so that when the platform team releases the release with the code, then we just merge the docs PR at more or less the same time. It's never going to end up being perfectly exact, and sometimes platform will merge, and then they'll be like, "Oh, wait, this isn't working." So then I hold off on merging the docs. Sometimes I think it was it was the last minor release. It was 5.8, and really the only change was we were telling you to update your minimum version of Node because we were dropping support for Node 18, except for the very, very last maintained version. So it didn't really matter if the docs merged early, like the docs wouldn't be wrong. So we just merged them. But I have not heard from the framework team to know yet whether they are in the process of trying to release. Um, let's see. And then, so because I've done that, I've lost the chat here. Oh, Armand's saying in the chat that in some cases there were issues with our API references that didn't include that space, but maybe something has been fixed in the meantime since it seems to always render correctly in the deploy previews. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. Like we would have checked the deploy preview of this and it would have looked okay. Um, But for now, that's our standard. So best to keep them all, especially if we don't know what the underlying cause is. Okay, so it looks like then that this PR will be good to go, but normally I would wait until I see the actual minor release go through itself. And since I haven't seen that, and since I haven't heard, okay, we're on it, maybe we'll just wait on this one. So it does look good to go though. Nobody else has come in and chimed in with anything. All the tests have passed, and we would have checked each of these PRs individually before merging them into here. So I guess what we can do, oh, we don't even need to update branch. I'll refresh just to make sure. But I guess nothing has even merged since we made this PR. So this one will be good to go. But we don't want to merge it too early because as soon as we merge this and the new Astro Docs site builds, then it's live in Docs. So we don't want to put these live in Docs before the features are there. Okay, in that case, while we're waiting to hear from Platform, one of the other things that Docs is uh, somewhat responsible for, well, I am responsible for, is our monthly blog post and newsletter every week where we showcase new sites that have been made, um, blog posts, content, stories about migrating to Astro, two articles, videos, everything everybody's put. So also what I do is at least a couple times a week, I'm searching to see if anyone has posted on social media or other platforms or in our showcase channel in Discord what new cool things have been built with Astro, things that have been written about Astro. And I did a little bit of searching this morning, and apparently we've got a couple of new fancy sites, both making use of view transitions that are using Astro. So what we would do in this case is we actually have a process for submitting them to the showcase. So I'll share, there's a couple that we saw here. I think the Astro account actually boosted this post. So here, ooh, I haven't even scrolled all the way through. I'm scrolling down now. I just gathered the site. So here's an Astro site. Uh, that's looking pretty good. I think people were talking about this on social media. So we need to make sure that it's added to our showcase so it'll get included in next month, well, this month, the end of the month's blog post and newsletter. So this one's fun. I love orange websites too. I know orange is a really, really difficult color to get right. I think it kind of breaks accessibility rules um, with color contrast and orange with black and orange with white. But I just love orange on sites. Always makes me happy. So we're gonna add this to um, we have this nice fancy link, which is like showcase slash submit, but really all it does is take you to a huge, huge discussion on our roadmap repo where we ask you to just drop your site and caught up with all of these. Yeah. So when I see a site that someone new has posted, then I or anyone else can do. I like it when people come and post these. I just come and add a comment, and that means in the following month, this will be picked up and added to our showcase. And there was another, oh, let me get to the top here. Let me just refresh and we'll go right to the top. There was another one posted just before the call. Someone had updated their website, converted it to Astro, and it's pretty fun. And they also are making use of view transitions with these card things. So I want to make sure that when I spot sites like this, they get added to our showcase so that we can celebrate at the end of every month everything we've found. New sites built with Astro, content, things people are saying, videos people are making. Whoop. So once again, I'm going to copy that and just going to go back to our issue here and leave another comment. Now, if I had like 4 or 5 of these, and I learned in the past, um, you can add them in the same comment. So if I scroll up, someone here added like a handful in the same oh, even like the very first one, right? Yes, it doesn't matter. They can all be in the same comment. And but I didn't realize this at first. So the first time when I started taking over this duty and making sure that okay, all the cool sites we see, let's make sure they get added here. And I was doing one at a time. I was making individual comments. And I actually got
Oh.
someone replying on this thread, stop, and all capital letters, and they were screaming. And it was, stop spamming this thread. And I guess the notifications, I'm like, oh, I didn't know. So normally if if I have a bunch, I'm sitting down, I'm batching them up and I'm putting them in. But then too, like a lot of people do like to make comments on individual sites. So it's nicer if they're spread up. So if there's just a couple, I'll leave 2 comments and that's
Makes sense.
fine. Okay. Um, where's my framework team?
Well, I
I
guess
will,
Matt is 1 hour earlier than me, so maybe it's
it
lunchtime?
could be lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because now my numbers are all off when I think about where people are. Okay, so we'll hold off on releasing 5.0, but I'm going to send a message to the framework team and I'm just going to say docs are ready, merge anytime, no rush, letting you know, but we'll wait for the release before merging. Okay, so we've added a couple sites to the showcase. The minor will share this tab now. The minor release docs are good to go. We've had some updates to an error message. I suspect these are probably related as well. So some of our docs are maintained in the Astro repo, our configuration reference docs and our error reference docs. And that is so the editor and IntelliSense, autocomplete, all that stuff has access, has access to these messages and for creating the errors themselves. So we do want to also provide these errors references in docs. So we have an action that will automatically make a PR when there's a change. Let's see. Oh, so yes, this is to go with the new CSP feature. Um, okay, so we'll just check that preview and make sure that looks okay in docs. So let's see. If we go to reference, error reference. I think this should be at the bottom of the Astro errors. CSP not enabled. Yep. I mean, it's fine. I think we had a bit more detail with experimental fonts not enabled, uh, but it's rendering fine, so no problem. Okay, so this one will be good to go, but we should add it to the 5.9 milestone, and we should also make sure that it is marked for the minor release, merge on release, and this is main content. Okay, so this one will be fine. 11842. So what this means, 11842, is I would go back
We're still seeing
to here.
the preview, by the way. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I missed a tab.
No
All
problem.
right, but so I would also then go here and make sure that 11842, make sure that it's also included in these minor release docs. Okay, which means I can merge these. I'll go back here and I'll point this to the 5.9 branch just so they all merge together at once. We'll update that branch. Okay, we don't need that preview. Don't need that tab. Trying to keep my tabs closed. Trying to keep my tabs organized. Okay, so we'll just wait for this just to make sure all the checks will run. So I can leave that sitting there. And then we'll merge it into the 5.9 PR so that that can just merge all at once. Okay, not super exciting, but shouldn't take too long. Which means I have not really been in our call. So I'll just make sure there's nothing in the chat that I need to worry about. Nope, it's a quiet morning.
Yeah.
Like I know it's a bit quieter for me because I'm in a different time zone and it's even earlier for me than it normally would be. But even the Discord's pretty quiet this morning.
Maybe it's
I
holiday,
feel like if I
national holiday somewhere or something.
oh, that I don't know.
Yeah,
But I guess
not neither.
if I had to lose a day to traveling, apparently there's not too much going on. Well, and when the weather gets nice too,
Yeah.
and people spend less time in front of the computer.
So I'm just waiting for 5.9.
Yeah. All right, so that was just as well because I had forgotten that this was probably related to 5.9. So it's nice to get this in there so it all merges at once. And then in the 5.9 PR description, I manually add all the PRs that were merged into that to make it easier for the translators, especially when they know there's new docs, what all came in this version. And it's a nice bit of history too, in case anything happens there. Okay, so while we are waiting for the checks to pass so we can merge that one, and then while we're even waiting so we can merge 5.0, um, I do, even if we don't do anything, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's been going on in Starlight this past week?
That's a good question.
Or maybe you don't, and that's fine too.
I don't think a lot has been going on. I haven't been able to focus on it this week yet. I'm busy writing some guides for Starlight plugins, so I've been focusing on that. But I know there
I
was
guess
no
that,
major issue or something like that. But
yeah, I have,
what can I say specifically? Oh, we have a community. We have started reviewing a potential new feature, but it's not ready yet. But you can maybe spoil it quickly. Basically, if you check, can you show, for example, a page of Astro Docs with an aside, a random
a
one?
page within a side.
Yeah.
Let's see, which one would have an aside?
Oh, here,
You
perfectly.
might like a note.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
So now, if you have an aside, it can be the note, a tip, caution, I think, and danger one or severe, I don't remember
yeah,
what we use. And you get a different color for it, and you also get an icon for it.
right.
For
Here we have the
note,
little
it's a yeah,
eye.
it's a I. I guess it's an exclamation mark for caution, maybe. And what we are working on, or it's someone from the community working on, is making the ability that you can create, for example, a tip aside, but you can use any icon that is supported from the in Starlight. So here you will be
Yeah,
able to use, I don't know, a Starlight icon if you want, instead of the exclamation mark.
yeah.
So it
Okay.
should bring a little bit of variety in a side, I guess.
Nice, because so not only because right now you can change, like this one is a custom title.
Yeah,
Like it
you
doesn't
can
say
only
note,
change
it
the
says
title, yes.
right, you can change the title. So now we can change the title and the icon. Well,
Yeah,
with the new feature
yeah.
that you'll
So
be
we
reviewing.
are heading toward that. We started reviewing it. We started making sure it works with all icons because some of them
Right.
are a bit tricky, but we are working on that. So it's a bit of a spoiler, I guess. But it's, if you attend Talking and Docking, you get spoiler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like Matt is merging the 5.9 release
Oh,
now.
exciting.
So then normally yeah, I see it. So if you're in the Discord and you go to our announcement channel, we do have an automated GitHub release bot that will announce when any new version, whether it's a minor version, a patch, anything like that. Yes, and so I see the announcement go out, and seeing the announcement go out is my cue that it's fine for docs to merge. So let's see, have all our, well, link check won't be a problem for this PR, but 6 minutes, it's so close. We can wait, we can merge it, and then we can merge the docs. And then this is so you're seeing now the whole docs release is it's not a complicated process, but there's lots of waiting because we need to wait for the docs to be live before we can then start an
Yeah.
Algolia crawl. Algolia will re-index for the search widget only from the live published site. So it's not even enough for the site code to be updated. We need to wait for the site to be live. So we have several little bits of few minutes in the process. So I will just thank Matt so that he recognizes that I've seen it. Perfect. we are getting the docs merged, then we'll start Folia. Okay. All right, let's check in on our tests here. And we'll just wait for this link check to finish up before we can merge it.
Should be very close. It says 7 minutes ago.
Yeah,
I think it's most of the
exactly.
time it's 8. So
Yeah, it's so close. We might as well just let it finish.
yeah,
Oh, big part of docs. Lots of waiting around.
it has to happen. That's how you make sure you don't have broken links. So
Yes, exactly.
we don't want
Exactly. And our
broken links.
doc site is so big and so complicated that yeah, these checks will take a little while, but they there we go.
Yeah.
But they really are helpful. Okay, we're gonna merge. We have the add co-authors button because we have Chris's Better GitHub co-authors extension. So we check. Nope, nobody new there. Merge this one. All right, which means we should be able to hop back into 5.9 and wait for checks to run on this one because this one's now been updated. Okay, it shows up as merged. And the checks here should start. And we get to sit and wait for this one. Right.
So I guess in 7 or 8 minutes we should be good.
In 7 or 8 minutes, we should be good. So while we wait for that, we can go back to this is my PR inbox, which just mostly filters out the translations because Jan takes care of those. So as you can see in my inbox, it's showing 14 open PRs, when really we have 32 of them because we have so many translations. And now we'll have a handful more very soon after we release all of these. Let's see if there's anything we can jump in on this one. And we don't think anything recent has happened here on this. I know that some of our Japanese translators have wanted to um, add some rules to help with
Oh, like more
decisions that
linting?
they have made. Yeah, some linting rules specifically for the Japanese language that is helpful for them to conform things. Um, I know they've got an open issue for it,
It's interesting
and
because, for
oh,
example, if we Armand worked a lot, even in the French for the French language, on making sure we are all agreed on some terms, on some terminologies. I guess I don't know this tool, but I guess having some tooling, some rules, some linting to make sure, like for example, in French, we use a lot in the documentation to render, the verb to render. We try to
mhm.
avoid the literal translation in French. So I guess having some tooling checking that could be interesting. I don't know how that works. I don't know if it works in French, but I guess the idea of some tooling is interesting.
And I think too, I know from a maintainer standpoint, it's particularly helpful for things that we can't touch.
Yeah,
Because sometimes even spacing makes a difference
yeah.
in these languages that are things when we are doing checking for we'll translate the page to English and we'll just scan and make sure nothing looks terribly off. And sometimes spacing or whatever will be strange, but that happens when you translate languages with these other characters into English. So we just don't pay much attention to that. We assume that the people who are writing and who are reviewing in these languages are catching stuff like that. But I think there's also just like with anything, right? There's not necessarily one standard way of saying things. So it has to be constantly renegotiated, and anything that can help them with these decisions and then make new people feel comfortable coming in and contributing. Um, so, yes, I know Chris had left a comment about this. Um, Yeah, I think at one point I think the gist of this discussion ended up being, well, should builds fail or should people get a warning? And if it's really wrong, it should fail, if we want to stop it versus just a warning, and then trying to figure out how this would um, fit into our existing
Yeah. I guess
processes.
you never want at least the deploy preview to fail. That's a no-go, even if you have issues. No matter what,
Right,
except if there is an
right,
error preventing to build, but otherwise you at least want to always have the deploy preview.
right. So with a lot of these rules, like even in they're starting to become quite popular tools, like Veil is one, and these are linting tools um, for your text, essentially.
Yeah,
Like maybe you never want to use ing forms of headings,
yeah,
right? So maybe your headings should be um, imperative version or of the verb as opposed to gerunds or something like that. Um, to do that in the first place does require, check in on these, um, it's a lot of effort to make decisions ahead of time. And so these rules work great when you have a structure
yeah,
and a structure that you strictly want to enforce. But then they can add extra friction if you don't necessarily want to, hold up, as you say, either a deploy or a PR, or we have so many new contributors constantly to docs that we do, in a sense, want to try to keep the tools that you need on your local machine to a minimum. The we don't want it to look too scary. If you're like, I'm just thinking, if everyone who submitted some text to Astro Docs cut back all these like grammar, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, like that's also not a very friendly experience too.
yeah,
For those of us who work regularly on docs, it's like, yeah, point out a bunch of stuff, but a lot of people, if you're not really used to writing text and have a lot of the grammar stuff underneath you, then to see what a machine would say to you might be a little cruel. Right now, you're seeing what I say to you, and I can say it very nicely and very gently, whereas I'm not sure that the machine does.
yeah. It's a
Okay, so we're,
tricky decision process. Even for example, we don't format Astro Docs, but we do a formatting in the Starlight repo for docs. But
yeah,
even if we are formatting, it's not even run or enforce in pull request. We only run it when the pull request is merged on main. So contributors do not have to care about formatting, running the formatter, or maybe formatting failing in their pull request or anything.
right.
So it's a lot of
Nice.
decision
Yeah.
to make it useful for some contributors, not painful for some others.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that does seem like a good compromise. And I mean, AstroDocs is so
Yeah,
large that every time we think about adding a check, it's, we've spent half the time here waiting for our link checks, which is a super important check. So, I mean, we're okay to wait for. But every other thing we want to check takes more time for for any situation like this. So it's always a trade-off. That some things that are good ideas just might add too much friction to the process of actually maintaining or contributing. Um, so sometimes doing it manually allows us a bit more flexibility too. All right. Um,
Oh, this check
and I
haven't.
don't know why this is
It did not even
huge.
start.
Yeah. I know there's also only a certain number
Yeah,
of um, actions that can run at the same time, and I wonder if the release itself,
yeah, probably.
you know, it took up some threads.
Yeah, it shared across all the organization, I think.
Yeah, across all the repos too.
Yeah.
Um, Now we're live and we're being recorded on this, so I really shouldn't merge without this check passing. So we will wait. Even though we've checked all the ones individually, we just checked the other one individually, and all we did was merge it into here, and it's gonna be fine. Um,
It should.
Now if I check details
I'm
though,
guessing it's gonna say waiting for a runner or something. Oh no, started, it say here. So maybe it's just GitHub being a bit.
I'm wondering if we just maybe we just start it and run again, or if we lose our place in the queue. I never know.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. But I don't think we're even in the queue right now. I think it's already started. We're just not seeing something. Because if you're in the queue, it says
Mm,
something like waiting for a job runner to be available or something. So
I'll just update here and see what the most recent message it gives us is. It does say waiting to run this check.
yeah, and at the other end, it's saying it started. So it's yeah, GitHub being not super clear, I guess.
All right, so we'll hang on with that a bit. Um, in the meantime, then, let's see. Do we have any quick wins here? I've been out for a little bit. Um, do I know any of these that maybe look that one? I think is something. Okay, that's a recipe. That's pretty big. Base. I don't know. I don't know if we can get into base. We, um, oh, Jan's got one here. And oh, this is one that Fryuni was going to take over. And oh, maybe we could look at this one. I know it's about a month old. And this was Otterlord documenting something that apparently got missed and wasn't documented in the context. Um, but when he got around to the documentation, I got confused. And I think we had a little back and forth going. So this is probably a great little thing to discuss while we're waiting for a check to run. Okay, so if we look at the files changed, so origin path name, this is in the API reference file. So these are things that show up under the Astro Global. Just, I guess there it hadn't been documented in 5.0. It was a new thing. So it's very, very tiny. Origin path name defines the original path name of the request before rewrites were applied.
Mm.
So then Otterlord's example, the origin path is Astro dot origin path name. The rewritten path is Astro dot URL path name. Okay, so on the surface, like structurally, this is exactly what we want. This is perfect. This is great. Great. Thank you, Waterlord. Um, Now, then I, so my first thought was, oh, should we link back to rewrite entry if this is specific to rewrites only and not redirects? So we have a difference between our rewrite and our redirect function. If we just hop to docs for a sec, um, this is our API reference. And so redirects actually then redirect you to another page.
Yes.
So you can redirect. Rewrites allow you to serve content from a different URL or path without redirecting the browser to a new page. So whatever your URL is in the window stays the same. So this is, I think some of the examples for this were things like if you're in a store and you're in a particular product and you have like, slash products, slash shoes, slash men, or you end up in like slash products, slash men, slash shoes, or whatever, you may want to keep whatever URL your visitor has navigated to, but you might have content that canonically exists somewhere else.
Yeah.
And right, so the rewrite function, you still provide the path or the URL where the location of the content to be served is, but then you don't update the URL. You don't send the person to a new URL.
Yes.
Um, so we just have some examples of that here.
And I guess
So my question, sorry, go on.
I was about to say the one big difference, because I'm guessing for Ruben's pull request, we're in the context of a middleware. When you're rewriting, what will happen basically is that the rendering process will start over again. So if you have a middleware, you are rewriting in it. When the rewrite actually happened, a new rendering phase starts, and all your middleware will run again. So this is where the I don't know the name, original or origin path name is useful, because your middleware will run again. So you may need to know the original one, or you just want the new one.
Okay. Okay. So does that extra context need to be in here?
I
And
know
maybe it doesn't.
I know we document that behavior in the middleware page, I think, if I remember correctly.
Let's check. Might be middleware or might be the
In the
guide.
guide, yeah. I think we have an entire section about rewriting. Oh, Armand shared a link.
Rewrite. Oh,
Oh yes, it's in the guide then.
yeah, okay. Okay, so
Ah
yes.
yes, this is it. This is trigger a
Okay,
new
so
rendering phase causing any middlewares to be re-executed. So if we didn't have that origin path name, you wouldn't be able to, I guess, get the original one.
know where you were. Okay, so um this, then if we go back here, now the examples are using Astro origin path name and Astro.url path name. But would this really only be used in context with the context object in middleware?
I guess you can
I
use
mean,
it.
because
I guess both works. I've only been using them in middleware, so I'm a bit biased. But I guess you can use them on anything, basically, on the Astro Global or in middleware. Basically,
and then
anytime you need
checking,
to know the path name, you may want to know. the original one if a rewrite was involved.
Okay, and I'm checking just around because I know a lot of our, yeah, see, we're using, for a lot of these entries,
Yeah,
we use the tabs, we use
I guess it could make
we
sense
have a
to do
chapter
the
one.
same here, maybe.
So yeah, I think we might want to tab here, uh, using it, like at least now we have documentation for it. Um, okay, yeah, so maybe that's what we'd suggest here. Maybe we should, if I get to the deploy preview, I guess, then we can see it in comparison with these others. Um, and this will be API reference. So then origin path name should come right after rewrite, makes sense. So yes,
Yeah,
so
I
if we've
guess it
got
makes sense.
rewrite and the context, and then locals, we have, we don't have one for preferred locale. But it does seem like if we're only going to have one and the most common use case is context for this, um,
I'm not sure if it's
then it's,
context, to be honest. I'm not sure if one is more relevant than the other.
hmm,
I guess it just depends on what you are doing and what you are using the past name for, I guess.
okay, well, what we could do is we could merge this one as is. Um, so it's helpful. It describes what's happening. And then we could make an issue to say, hey, this really should be tabs, and we could let somebody make
Yeah.
an example with tabs.
And I guess, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. Maybe we, maybe the sentence could say before rewrites were applied. It's a poor wording, but maybe saying because when you rewrite, a new rendering phase
Yeah,
happens with a different path name.
yeah.
Not sure what will be the good wording for that, but
Okay. So let's hop back into this PR and let's add a comment and let's say,
yeah, because in the middleware guide, in the rewriting section, we say, okay, if you do a rewrite, a new rendering phase happens, any middleware will be re-executed. That's fine, but we don't, except if I missed it somewhere, we don't really say that the path name will be updated in this new rendering phase to be the what you rewrite to. I'm not sure we even say that. So, hmm.
okay, yeah, if we go back to the middleware docs. So display a different page's context without redirecting your visitor to a new site. This will trigger a new rendering phase where to be re-executed. Um, but yeah, we don't show, I'm checking, we don't show using the origin path here anywhere. Okay, so
Oh, I didn't even know that there
um,
is a way to avoid the rendering phase too. Hmm, it's tricky, I guess.
Right, down here with the next function. Okay. Well, so immediately what this PR does is document
Yeah,
something that
it's
exists that
already,
we haven't yet documented.
yeah, it's already better.
Um, so yeah. Um, did we explicitly talk about the new rendering phase being triggered here? Should we have the two? So let's,
Oh, and Armand shared some context for the from the
yeah,
implementation pull request. I guess this was implemented by Ben. It's needed for user to
okay.
do cookie forwarding and should be useful for middleware authors in general. So yeah, I guess if you need the info, but I guess when you need the info, I guess you already know you did some rewriting. You know if your rewriting triggered or not a rendering phase. So I wonder what happens, like if you did not even rewrite. Is that I should do a test later, but I wonder if you don't even do a rewrite, does that property even exist? Or is it the same as the path name? I should.
Well, so that this is where I got confusing. This is where I got confused. And you can see I'm like, I don't know. Okay, I need you to break this down for me. And I think part of it was we didn't discuss the whole initiate the rendering phase again, and that might have been it. So I said my confusion is that we say the browser will show the original address in in the bar, but will instead provide the URL of the content of whatever you're providing, whether it's a path or a URL. So someone requests URL A is this origin path, right? This is the thing that was requested before rewrites were applied. According to what we say about rewrites, the browser bar displays that you're on your URL A, which is what I'd expect URL path name to show because that's the path you can see, but shows the content that exists at URL B. Is URL B the URL path name since it's the location of the content you're seeing, but not actually the URL path name on the page you're visiting right now. These were as I was trying to look at Ruben's example that showed this is the one, this is the other. I'm like, are they different? Are they like when would they be different? Because it seems like from what we've documented in other places that these should be the same. So that's why this PR got
Yeah,
held up is because Sarah got confused.
it's
Um,
confusing to be honest.
and okay, good. It's not just me. But that's where this PR sort of got held up, even though it's very, very tiny, even though it's exactly what we want. It's something that exists in the code that is not documented. There was apparently a use case for it because Ben's got an implementation PR saying here's how it'll be used. Um, but yes, so that we I'm not sure that we fully describe the use for it. But then again, in a reference entry, really, we are concerned with documenting its existence, right? That it exists, how it works. What you do with it is up to you. This is where you're looking for what tools do I have access to, and literally how do they function. So in that sense, it's not wrong. It's just, especially if we have no documentation for this anywhere, like how or when or why you might want to use it, it makes documenting the reference entry a little trickier because you're trying to often when we are documenting a reference entry, like for example, we have rewriting. We have a whole section about this in the middleware guide. And additionally, we have um, reference material on rewrite. So when we have both, then it becomes a little easier to tease out, okay, which information goes where. right? So the rewrite is obviously just, we're not even telling you why you might want to use this. We're just showing you exactly how it works, what the code looks like, what you use it for in very technical terms. So I think what held this PR up is this is something we have not documented anywhere, something that maybe isn't really intuitive, like that needs a little explanation to understand what it is and what it's used for,
Yeah.
but that's not typically what we put in reference. So if we had this somewhere else, then this reference PR probably would have just merged no problem because it would have been those strict technical details. And it would have been where we would had linked to from somewhere else where we describe some kind of use case. So I think that's where this got held up in my mind is like, wait a minute, we're trying to document, like, reference how something is used, but there's no other content anywhere in docs to give extra context. So that this very, very short explanation can make sense because there's a little bit of wrapping your head around it to get it right. Yeah, so that's I'm also going to add this here too. In terms of what we discussed on talking and docking about this is that this is a great reference entry, but realizing we haven't documented this anywhere means we don't have any place where the more why use case info is included. So this can feel accurate um, and useful, but um, still not feel fully documented and truly helpful readers. I think that is my main point here with why this tiny, tiny PR that's actually accurate took so long.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So Otter, um, uh, see which of the above technical points, e.g., adding tabs for intro context, we want to include here, and we can consider whether maybe we need something added to the middle guide showing it's used, but get this helpful, accurate reference merged. All right. So I will let Otter Lord weigh in there. Of course, anyone is welcome to weigh in on these PRs. Um, this was, I don't even know. I just lost that. Oh, here, my tabs were just slow. Yeah, this is the question that we've been looked at. I'll just drop it in the chat. So people are welcome to add comments there. Yeah, I think that's an interesting conclusion to have come to that that part of me wants to make this feature fully documented in a way that's actually helpful, but not all of that actually goes in reference content. And what we have here is a PR for the reference section. So yeah, we'll let Otterlord weigh in on that. If anyone else wants to jump in on that, I think for sure we should check back in on our 5.9 docs. These checks should have passed now. And hopefully Jan has not woken up and started merging translations so we don't have to update branch. Oh, we look good. Okay, let's get these 5.9 docs merged so that we can start. And we have lots of co-authors because we have lots of PRs involved in here. Um, and even J.S. Park. So I suspect if I do this, we're not going to get any new authors, but I just want to check. Nope, we've already got Jen Sung, so that's fine. Okay, we're going to merge 5.9 docs. Let's go. And now that the docs are merged, what we need to do is wait for the docs to be live, and then we can run Algolia. So we will need to wait a few minutes on
Yeah.
that. I will just let the framework know. Mm, I need to start Algolia call. Okay,
Amazing.
excellent. So we will know the docs are live. I can monitor in the Netlify dashboard, but we will know they are live when we have a new experimental feature, when we have experimental CSP.
Exciting
So that'll
one.
be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So share this tab instead. Um, yep. And we can periodically refresh and check in on live docs to see what is happening. Okay, great. So I'm really glad people were here to talk about this Astro Origin Path name one. Yeah, I think it's interesting that a PR that can be totally accurate and correct still can take a while for us to wrap our heads around and figure out is this how we're putting it in docs? Is this enough? Do we need to care that it's enough? Maybe we just get something in super quick, so at least it's there. But it's a great initiative by Otterlord to have discovered that hey, we've got this thing. There were no docs for it. Let's at least get something in docs. Perfect. Um, one other thing I wanted to take a look at today, and we'll get back to our live docs here, is if you've been in docs over the last month or so, let me go to a shorter page here. If you've been in docs recently, then you had probably noticed for a while we had a nice little banner here showing off Chris Pennington coding in public, his amazing video course. It is so comprehensive. And so we had a little affiliate link going. You could get 20% off. Astro could get supported. Astro got a little bit of money every time you bought through that link, so that was super helpful. And lots of you did, and that's amazing. It just helps everybody. It means more people are learning Astro. Um, it means the Astro Project's getting a nice little bit of money, which is helpful for any open source project. It's always looking for, sponsorship, support, contributions. It's a great way all the way around. And the core, like I can tell you, because I always am searching what people are writing about Astro, what people are saying about Astro, when people are posting their new blog posts, the videos. I'm the one that sort of surveys all of it. And I searched hard and I could not find anyone who had a single negative thing to say about Chris's course. Everybody who took it loves it. So that was a really nice synergy for us. It's a course, it's a person we know, like a really active, great member of our Astro broader community. It's good material. More people are going to learn. Um, More people are then going to build with Astro and make amazing things. It's just all kinds of good, all the way around. Um, so we had that in the site for a couple months. And now there's actually a brand new site, or sorry, a brand new Astro course that has just launched. So we similarly wanted to give it a bit of prominence. And Astro has a nice affiliate link. So if you end up purchasing through us, it's super helpful to the Astro open source project and it funds continued development. Um, this is a course on a platform called Scrimba that I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with. Scrimba is near and dear to my heart because that is how I started. I think I want to say for sure 2019, maybe 2018. Scrimba is actually how I started learning web development. and eh, JavaScript and CSS. Some of you may have heard me tell this story in the past that I have built websites before. I mean, decades ago using HTML. Like that's what I did. I typed HTML in text editors and uploaded them through a cPanel. But I didn't really know CSS. So I was really kind of limited in what I could do. And I thought, well, I inherited a terrible, terrible website that was like auto-generated from some wizard for my community choir. The person who did it had long left the choir. Nobody knew how to get in touch with them anymore. And because I knew something about building websites, I agreed to take it over. But I'm even today and at the best of times, I'm not a designer. I'm not really that kind of person. So I thought I would teach myself some CSS to say, okay, can I make this thing look a little better than something that some just wizard auto generated? And I ended up on Scrimba, and I took that's how I was introduced to a lot of these great instructors like Kevin Powell. I took his entire responsive web design boot camp. Um, Cassidy Williams had some React courses there. So I started to learn some CSS, responsive web design. Let's make it something nice and simple for my choir. And then I started taking JavaScript courses. I was like, I like this a lot better than CSS. And then I started taking React courses. Um, and Bob Zero had, this amazing React boot camp on Scrimba. And I really loved learning through Scrimba. It's a really unique platform where you're watching lessons. You're watching an instructor and there's a code editor in front of you and slides and stuff. But then at any moment you can just hit stop on the video and you are live in that IDE with the code exactly where it was at that time. And then you can play with it and you can make changes and you can see how it works. And yeah, so it's just a super way to learn. It was really engaging. And then you could mess it up as much as you wanted. And then when you hit play again, the code went right back to that point in the video. So you could save, your little bits of work or whatever. So just amazing. But Scrimba's infrastructure was great for um, things that it, well, rather, it couldn't run Node itself. So we could run React, right? It had a little React playground, but it wasn't a Node playground. And so just earlier this year, they got backend development support so that you can run full node projects in their environment, which opened the door to Astro courses. So super exciting. I'm over the moon because now you can actually do Astro in Scrimba. And I was in touch with Scrimba and with James Quick to sort of, you know, help with the making of the first Astro course there. It's an introductory Astro course, but now it's on Scrimba, which just now brings me full circle because the only reason that I'm here at all is because of the stuff I learned on Scrimba and how I got into the industry. So nice little affiliate link for Astro. So we've replaced the Chris Pennington one right now with the Learn Astro because this is new. I'm going to be in the Scrimba Discord next week for their town hall. They have weekly community halls where they have guests, and I'm going to be the guest. And I'm going to be talking about Astro and a bit about my history and stuff like that, answering questions for them. I've already started answering Astro questions in the Scrimba Discord because people have started taking the course already. But so all that being said, so there's my little spiel. Love Scrimba. We love Chris Pennington and coding in public, and that's just helped so many people get into Astro. And Chris's course is, I mean, it's huge and it's comprehensive and it covers like everything. The Scrimba course, this is an introductory course. This is the first one. There's going to be more. I'm probably going to help in with some planning there to help them develop good astro courses for more topics. Um, but We only have one spot in the sidebar. So right now we're just featuring the new course. Um, but these are both great courses that we want to support. Uh, we want our affiliate links to be live. So one thing we've been talking about is in Astro Docs. Right now we have a sidebar entry for tutorial, which is our tutorial that our team docs built a few years ago. We were talking about what if we had a tutorial landing page so that the coding in public course, the Canva course could also be featured. And then of course one of the tutorials that you could take is the one in our doc that we built too. But that's what we've been talking about is maybe we need a landing page so that we can better expose these other tutorials as well. Um, it's obviously this is the one that we wrote that we control, um, that we keep updated, but there's still an advantage for us to have more people learn Astro and as many different ways as possible. And the more people building with Astro, the bigger our community is, the bigger the ecosystem is. Um, Again, to be honest, we get some affiliate commission for these. So this is something that the Docs team is talking about right now because we've always said, Docs is supposed to document how Astro works, help people get started with Astro. Um, we don't we don't document how Tailwind works, we don't document how JavaScript works, but we do document, okay, how this works in Astra. So one could argue, should we have a page that sends you off to other tutorials? At least these are ones that we know and that we feel confident in. But then there's yeah. So there's all kinds of conflicting things we've been talking about. So that's one thing that I thought we'd discuss here on the call too, is if we did have a landing page in Docs, what would it look like? Would it mean that our tutorial would not be a sidebar page, but we'd have a landing page? Yeah. So these are some of the thoughts that we have. Um, and Heidi, I think you had some thoughts about this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything you want to comment on about this?
Thoughts may be a big word, just but just ignoring the how it's implemented. I really like the idea because, like you said, the more people learn Astro, no matter how is it in Astro Docs, is it in on Scrimba, Chris courses, a random blog or YouTube video. I mean, it's more Astro user, more user giving feedback, more people in the community. So I think everyone's win. So yeah, having a page where you can maybe choose a path on how you want to learn in Astro Docs, I think makes sense. So if you're planning on, for example, taking the tutorial, being able to choose, okay, this is the official Astro tutorial, I'm gonna follow that. But maybe some people just are not in this mindset. I know personally, I'm not able to learn if I'm not reading a reference page or a guide in some documentation. But I know some people are the
Yeah.
opposite. They cannot read the documentation. They prefer a blog article. Some prefer video materials. So I guess having some kind of choose your own path could be nice, and being able to choose, for example, between the Astro tutorial, the one on Scrimba, Chris courses could be really great, I think.
And when you said that, when you talked about the, choose your own path, your learning course, it reminded me actually, which I hadn't thought of our installation page, like where it's like, okay, so ready for a new project. So obviously we suggest people use Create Astro and get the little Houston and just answer the questions and boom. Um, but I realized that this front section sort of does what you do, Heidi, and what you were talking about. And it says, or if you don't want to just create Astro like a new project, there's a way to start with the themes and starters from the showcase. You can install Astro manually. Prefer to try it in your browser? How about just go to astro.new and you can look around there. And I feel like this sort of is trying to do what you were saying, which is like, okay, so you want to start with Astro. There's actually a bunch of different paths you can take. And I think maybe after here, I think after in installing, we suggest that maybe you want to, was it not on this page? Oh, maybe not. I can't remember on one of these pages, maybe it was after start the dev server, that we said, oh, maybe you want to go take the tutorial. Right.
Oh yeah,
So down here. Yeah, so yes, you have a site and it's working, but maybe you don't know what to do with it.
yeah.
So maybe you want to take the tutorial and walk all the way through the steps like that. Yes, so uh maybe one could argue that the install Astro page is also trying to do that a little bit by saying, hey, would you rather just go look at it instead of installing it? Uh, would you rather take a tutorial instead rather than install it?
Yeah, I
Um,
guess this could make sense.
yeah. Now, there's also one could argue that if you have come to this
Yeah,
page legitimately going, okay, I want a new project, how do I install? Then maybe the first thing you shouldn't see is, would you really want to install? Maybe you want to do all these things instead. So there's still a
yeah.
balance of figuring out, okay,
It's a tricky
right.
run, I guess.
But maybe that's telling us that that there is a need for a page that sort of lays out how do you get started. Maybe installing is only one of the new ways to get started. And I mean, we have a get started page.
Yeah.
Um, so one of them is install. Where does this one actually go? Oh, that
Oh,
takes
it's
you to
why.
Y Astro. Okay. And maybe the fact that I didn't know that is a bit of
Yeah.
a clue that like because I think we were trying to think what should the second one be? Maybe one should be install, which is okay, yes, like I know about projects, I just want to install something. I know how installing works, I just want to install yours. And maybe this call to action becomes a bit more of a, you know, um, how to
Learn in
get,
a more
yeah, you
well,
like get started, but not like install get started, but maybe this needs to be a bit more massaged about yeah install Astro, or like it could be start with a tutorial, something like that. Because I also think too, I'm very proud of our page that shows all of us over here, and I mean our contributing side is very prominently displayed in the sense that it's the first thing that you'll sort of you'll see in text as you go through. And then down here we have extra stuff, but I mean, how sometimes people don't go below the fold, right?
yeah.
So we have a bunch of things down here. So maybe there's some architectural design for figuring out what a new page could be that really is a bunch of jumping off starting paths. And install then is like, I'm ready to install. I
Yeah.
know what all this is. I just want to start a new project.
So basically,
So
install, you
that's
pick how you install, and learn, you pick how you want to learn, I guess.
yes. Yeah, exactly. And Astro.new is kind of its own
Yeah.
creature itself. It's more like play, kind of. So maybe it's an install, learn, and play situation going on. Um, Figuring out. Yeah, so we may so look for that in future. We may be seeing Astro Docs, yeah, changing some stuff up here to emphasize the learning path, because that's just a great way to get more people using Astro. And when Astro Docs' responsibility is to document Astro features and the API and how things work, we can't teach you all the things in a whole variety of ways. And I think it's good that we make it available, the other learning paths that exist out there, and we are more of a reference.
Yeah,
But it might have been long enough now. Do we have a new experimental feature?
I think we
Content
do.
security policy. This is live in Docs, which means we can crawl Algolia. So maybe that's the last thing we'll do before we head off. So here we have new Emma's content security policy. So all of this is looking pretty good. It's well documented. Our experimental features, they're combinations of guide and reference. They're kind of all mixed into one for the reason that not everyone is using these experimental flags. So we want to keep the documentation contained to one page for the people who have configured the experimental flag, who have explicitly opted in, because this you can't use these features otherwise. So what you'll see is these pages, yep, heavy on the configuration, describing the runtime APIs available with them, and all the documentation is going to be here. No other part of Docs is going to reference this, because if you're just in, 5.9 stable and you haven't enabled this, none of this is going to apply to you, and we don't want to confuse people, so we keep it the same. Um, which is why things like when responsive images become stable, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I have a draft branch going now to take all this stuff that only existed on one page and feed it through about like 3 or 4 different pages through stable docs, because now it will need reference, it will need guide content, some recipes will need updating. So then that's always a super big challenge, more than you think it might be, when an experimental feature actually goes stable and does get to interact with the rest of the docs and does get, insight linking with other relevant pages. So we have our new feature. The last thing I will do, I will get there and log in, and then I will share the tab, is I will show you the next bit of waiting that we do when we release docs, because docs is all about waiting.
Yeah, and this
So
one is
I
a
will log.
little bit longer, I think.
Yeah, we will not sit and watch this one
Yeah.
on the stream, but this is our Algolia dashboard. Every week, I think it's Tuesdays, it automatically crawls. So it lasted June 2nd just to re-index so that all this new content that's in Docs now is available in the widget. This is something we learned. So we've refined this whole process of minor releases, that the the code needs to be released, then the docs need to be published live. We also have a blog post that will come out. We don't do any socials until the blog post has been live for a while, because we've had issues where we do socials and we point to the blog post and it hasn't propagated, and there's a bunch of people saying, I don't think the blog post works. And then we realized that we really need to update Algolia, because we released this new feature and a bunch of people will immediately come into Docs and start searching for it rather than trying to navigate to it. And there's nothing in Docs, because even though the page is there, Algolia hasn't crawled yet. So the last task for me this morning is hit this restart crawling, and if we're lucky, this only takes about 45 minutes. At one point, it was taking up to an hour. Um, so yes, this will sit and this will go, and I will check on it to see when it's done, and then I can tell the platform team, okay, search in Docs is now live, as well as the pages being live. so we can get the blog post finished and published. And then the very last thing we do is make our public announcements. So that is the inner workings of an Astro release. And this page will just sit here and go less than an hour. I think we've been pretty lucky and it's been closer to 30 minutes the last few times.
Yeah, it looks like it.
But this seems like this seems like a good farewell then.
I think so.
So 5.8 docs are live within about an hour. The search will be live. You can watch for the announcements on socials and you can share them and you can congratulate the dev team for all the new things that are out. You can look for typos in docs. So once new docs are released, we are going to get a lot of PRs of translations, and I'm sure we're going to get some typos PRs, but that's just a way to get involved. So that's fine. We will be on the lookout. I am working from the cottage for the next couple months, so slightly different environment. Um, Different birds being noisy out my window. I don't know if you heard all the Canada geese. Normally it would be blue jays for and crows for me, but now it's geese and a lot more water birds right out my door. So thanks everyone for joining us, and I hope this was remotely interesting, even with all the periods of waiting. But at least if we do this together and we do this in public, then the waiting gets a little more easy to bear. And I think we're gonna stop, check the docs. Your docs should be live. You can read all about the new cool features from this release, including CSP. And we will be on stream again next week, or at least on a call in the Discord. We'll see how the YouTube streams are going. But thanks for joining us. Um, and have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. And we will see you around the Discord. So go try out the new features, report any bugs, send those type of PRs to docs, and the whole process will just keep going. And thank you, Heidi-O, for doing all the streaming work.
No
We
problem.
we made some improvements to the process, and now we're going through Heidi-O indirectly. So yeah, thanks for joining as always, and we will see you around the Discord.
Bye, everyone.